know that money is wrong? What about if inflation isn't inflation, it's actually deflation? What about if taxes are good and interest rates are bad? And everything we know about money is essentially programmed into us and wrong, so we gotta put that on its bench again. That's what I'll be talking about today. My name is Noak. I joined Toronto DAO a while ago. I met Antoine and we talked about community currencies. We talked about a strange economic theory called the merge, which no one knows about, but both of us knew about, and I really liked that thinking, so I joined Toronto DAO. I've helped build the memberships app, and a couple of other things with ETHToronto, but most of all, I wrote a white paper a year ago now, and we wanted to participate in the hackathon. I mentioned that I had this, and that's where we are today. We did the hackathon. We're halfway through it. We're mostly through it. We think it's going to be awesome, but I wanted to talk to you about what the concepts are that we're building and what it's going to be. So I'll talk about the problem with modern money. I'll talk about the case for community currencies and local currency models, and I'll introduce people into that's better money, way better money than what we have today. The problem with the Canadian dollar, in my mind, is that it's in free fall. We think of inflation at 2%, and then we see inflation at 7-8%, and it's not actually inflation at all. There's no such thing as overall inflation. What we see is a deflation of the currency. So it's actually the other way around, but they taught us to think about it the wrong way. It's the deflation of the currency, it's in free fall, and that's why all the prices are going up. We can do something about that with better money. So let's design it. So before we start designing new money, we have to think about what is money. And I've been down the rabbit hole of Bitcoin for a while now, and all the crypto, and thinking about what is money. There's a ton of definitions for this, user exchange, user account, all that. But to me, money is a form of digitized trust. That's all it is. It represents purchasing public power. We're using it for a lot of different things. We're using it for taxation. We think of taxation as bad, but did you know that in recorded history of humankind, there's never been a community without tax. Tax is actually awesome. We don't like tax. We don't like tax on an individual basis, but we do like it on a community basis, right? So there's never been a single case of living society without taxes. The problem with taxes is that we don't like it when it's unfair, when some people can get obligated and others have to pay it. So, for example, we don't argue a lot about HST because we can't get around it, everyone has to pay it, and it's pretty good, but we do argue about other things that, the rich people get out of paying income tax, for example. That doesn't seem fair. We don't like taxes when they penalize bad things. For example, income tax is one of the worst taxes, my personal point of view, because it penalizes good work. Right? We should instead use taxes to encourage good things and facilitate, a better society. The other thing I wanted to point out is that if we were to eliminate all taxes from society and just replace it with one tax, that's a financial transaction tax, on every transaction ever made, you have to apply a percentage. How much do you think that percentage would have to be in order to finance all the other taxes combined? Maybe some examples. 50%? 40, 10, anyone? 80. Your Antoine side. 0.4 to 0.5, depending on how you measure it. 0.5% would compensate for all of the other taxes. If you tax every transaction. It's absolutely ridiculous. So why don't we try and leverage that? Why don't we make the tax fair that everyone has to pay for every transaction, and it goes to good. It goes back to society. That's one of the ways that we're thinking about designing a T-coin. So we have a transaction tax, and we're actually going to charge an outrageous amount of transaction fee. It's going to be 3%. Really, really high if you ask a lot of people. But do you know how much you pay when you use your credit card?
Zero. 3%.
Zero. Yeah, 3%. 3% is more. So you pay zero. But when you pay with a credit card, the store gets 97% of the value. If you use MasterCard or Visa, if you use American Express, they get like 96%. They charge another percentage point, which is why no one uses American rate. No stores accept it anymore. But they still have to accept MasterCard or Visa. So, if we're going to design a Toronto coin, why don't we charge 3% instead? Because there won't be a 3% credit card transaction, and the stores are already used to it. They're already priced it in, so they don't have to change the prices or anything. That's one of the ways of thinking. The other thing that I wanted to mention is, okay, on this chart of what is money, what sort of percentage do you think that exists in physical form, circulating currency?
10%. 5.
Bills and coins together. 10%? 2 is a better number.
2%.
2%. Depending on how, if you measure it against M2, M3, or M4, it's a different number, but the number is usually 2%. If you measure it against M2, it's 3, but if you measure it against M3, then it's 2%. It's a ridiculously low, low percentage. So we're already used to digital currency. Everyone's worried in the crypto space about CBDCs and central bank digital currencies. We already have digital currencies. It's already here. You're already transacting with it. When you log into your bank account, you see a lot of zeros. It's just ones and zeros. They don't exist in reality. Have you ever tried to go to a bank and ask for $1 million? If you have $1 million in your savings account, ask for it in cash. Impossible. They can't do it. They can't do it. They could potentially give you 100,000 if you give them 3 days warning. And they have to scramble and move money to get you 100,000. They will not give you $1 million. There's no way. It doesn't exist. Yet a lot of people have $1 million in it. So we already have digital currency. So we were thinking that, why don't we create a new Toronto coin as a digital currency? Because it makes sense. We already transact digitally with credit cards, with Apple Pay, Google Pay, all that. We also have a white paper that describes how we can do it as a physical currency, but right now we're doing the digital version. All right, let's move on. So, introducing T1, or Toronto coin, or $2, however we want to abbreviate it. It's a local community currency, only valuable in Toronto, because we're just going to ask stores in Toronto to accept it. We're not going to ask anyone else. And it's partially backed by a combination of Canadian dollars and TTC tokens. Why TTC tokens? Because it's a very stable form of value, but there's not too many of them, so we can't use all of that. We have to sort of do a mix of TTC tokens and Canadian dollars. It will be a complement and function alongside of Canadian dollars rather than competing against it. It's not sanctioned. It's not going to be sanctioned by the government, but there is papers and there's precedents that they do accept community currency, so it's not an outrageous thing to think about. Now, why would we want to create a local Toronto community currency? What's the benefit of that? Turns out there's a ton of benefit and a ton of examples of community currencies. It fosters a lot of, pride in the local community, but there's economic benefits. So think about how much of the economic value that we are exporting to China and low-cost countries and whatnot that are producing stuff for us. As soon as a store gets your Canadian dollars, they convert it and they go buy something from a supplier in China. Not China, love China, married to the Chinese, But it would be greater if we could keep it local. Why local? Shop local. Why not also make it local? We don't have to make it local, but why don't we encourage that? If you had a local community currency, you pay the return point to the store, they would then have to turn around and pay someone. Most likely their employees, because the employees are local. So if they convince their employees to take it, now we create a circular local economy. 5 benefits. Let's do the next one. It's not actually just 5 benefits. It's 10. I can go on and on about how good a local currency is, community currency. But let's do some examples instead. Let's do the next one. So you guys probably think that we're crazy. I'm crazy for thinking about this, and I am passionate about this. I've been thinking about it for a long, long time. And there are examples, and this is one of them. 5 hours in an art program that we pay. And actually, hourly-based currencies are a thing, and I love them. Maybe not this one, but let's hear from Antoine about a real example that we used to design Toronto.
Yeah, so there's this economist called Silvio Gesell from the 1800s, and he wrote a book called The Natural Economic Order, and inspired a lot of people. And one of his readers is this guy called Mayor Unterberger from Germany, and he was the mayor of this little town in Wörgl, and there was a great economic depression in the 20s around the world, including Germany. So he got around with, discussed with the other town leaders and decided, okay, why don't we create our own currency? A lot of people might have thought it was crazy. But what they did was they ended up creating a cash currency. They just printed their own currency. And they used, it was inspired by the theories of Silvio Gesell, who said, okay, hold on, we can try to trade goods, but a lot of goods are perishable, right? Where money is not perishable. So even though goods are valuable, money has like a special status. So it's like, what if we put money on the same level as goods? So we make money perishable. How would that affect the economy? So yeah, in this little experiment, they implemented a tactic called demurrage, which Noak talked about. So essentially, currency would lose value over time, and the way they did that was they put stamps on the back, and you have to buy like a new stamp every month for 1% of the value of the bill. And if you didn't fix the stamps, then the bill would be useless. So basically, you have to pay like 1% of the value of the bill every month. So what does that do? It makes you want to use it, so you don't have to pay the fee, right? So people just circulated really, really fast in the town, and it actually had a bit of a local economic boom. They built like a new hotel or something, a ski jump, new hiking trails, tourism boom, and they basically like got rid of the economic depression locally. It was so successful that even other mayors wanted to try to implement it. It got interest internationally, like it was discussed in the US politics a little bit. The French Prime Minister came and visited the town. But eventually, the Central Bank of Austria decided it was a dangerous idea. There was a lot of crazy ideas flying around at the time, communism, fascism. So they just wanted to clamp down on anything that wasn't, seen as normal and or competition for the central bank, really. So they shut it down. And that was the end of that experiment. But now we can try this again, but with cryptocurrency in a way that can't be shut down. So this is really just an inspirational experiment. It's just the idea of local currencies, like Noah was saying, and the idea of like rapidly circulating the currency, and something interesting. I've done a lot of research on the topic, and something that always stuck with me was people who analyzed the event afterwards, they noticed, like, with this currency, with dollars, paying your taxes is the last thing you want to do. You're spending money on anything else, taxes is the last thing you want to spend money on. With this, because you have to get these demurrage stamps, and if you don't pay the demurrage, you lose value. Like you kind of just want to get rid of it, so like tax is the first thing you want to do with this currency. Now, yeah, I mean, it's an experiment, right? So it's just a very interesting experiment. It led to an economic boom in town. You can look it up. And yeah, we're inspired by this experiment. We want to sort of learn from it, see if we can replicate some of the success. And we want to continue the experiment too, 100 years later. So that's what we like to do. Yeah.
Woo! 1923. They were experimenting. They had some issues. The glue on the stamp actually didn't stick, so they lost the stamp. She had a lot of issues, but a resounding success. Absolutely resounding success. They increased economic activity in the town, and it was so good that the central bank, they said that they had various reasons, but when they declassified the discussions afterwards, the main reason why they stopped it was that they were afraid of competition. It was too good. Too good. So that's a long time ago, 1923, but we actually have community currencies in Toronto. This one's out there in the circle. It's not far from here. It's Peterborough in Kawartha Loon, and they use it mostly for tips to waitresses and whatnot. It's out there. They have a credit union that supports it. So it's not yet we're crazy about doing these things. There was the Toronto dollar. In 1998 to 2013, we had the Toronto dollar. And it was accepted, widely accepted by all the world St. George market. The Riverdale, Rosedale, Gerard Square, they all accepted it. And it was very successful. They raised about $100,000, $110,000 for local charities. Because there was a minting fee, and part of that minting fee went to local charities. So we had it. But then it got out of favor, is what they say. They say that they had local participation in volunteerism to support the whole project. What it actually was someone ran away with the treasury. So it was supposed to be backed by Canadian dollars, but someone invested those funds, and then they lost trust in it. Remember, money is digitized trust. If you lose trust, you can't have money. Blockchains, we can make sure that no one's going to run away with money. Another one, British Columbia, Salt Springs dollars exist. Their big problem is that tourists love it. Tourists buy them and take off for them. So they have to keep printing new ones. It's amazing. Next one. These are real examples. Berkshires from the Berkshire region in Massachusetts. They have millions of dollars in circulation. It's a widely recognized, very, very good and successful financial experiment. Next one is city pounds in England. I found 5 examples with a quick Google search. They're kind of copies of the Berkshire dollar, Berkshires. They're all fiat-based, so they have a fiat bank. So somebody has a bank that takes the fiat, the dollars or the pounds in this case, and exchanges it for the local currency, and then the other way around. So it's very much fiat-based. Then there are other ones that are more interesting and more experimental. Yes, local exchange trading system exists. Out there already, a lot of farmers markets are using this. The main problem, well, it's credit-based, so they don't have a back. What they do instead is someone says, I would like a credit. I'm buying a beer in the bar, and I get a credit because I am washing dishes in a restaurant next door. I'll get a credit, and then I'll go to the restaurant, wash my dishes, and money will be transferred. So it starts with credit. It doesn't start with an asset class, it starts with credit. It's very, very functional. And then the next one is credit-based as well. Comox Valley Community Way Dollar, British Columbia. Just showing examples to show that we're not crazy. This exists. It's out there. It's just not blockchain-based. It's all paper-based. So very, very successful, stories. Next one. Now we're getting into more interesting ones. Calgary dollar. they're out there and they have backing by their city. That's something we want to do here too. We want to talk to local politicians. You all should go and talk to your local politicians and say this is an amazing project. What they do is they can pay their business taxes. If you're a business and you accept Calgary dollar, you can pay your licensing fees. So that's a form of tax. You can actually pay taxes with these Calgary dollars. The other thing you can do is you can pay for the local transit fare in Calgary, up to 50% with Calgary dollars. So city backed, you can use them by the city. That lends more trust to the currency. That's what we want to achieve here too. We haven't started talking to politicians, but let's do it. Even more weird, this is the one that warms my heart the most. In Japan, it's very, very common. They've got 3 different examples I got on images of, but they've got, I think there are about 25 different types of furei kiko. I'm probably bastardizing that. It translates to caring relationship tickets. And the basis of those money is 1 hour of care for an elderly person. See, they have a tradition of the woman in a marriage, the woman moves to the man, often to a different city, and they also have a tradition of taking care of your elderly parents, so that women started getting heartbroken because they couldn't take care of their elderly parents. What they did then instead was, I'll go take care of someone in my city, I'll get a ticket for it, and I'll spend that ticket for someone else to take care of my parents at home. So they will just circulate the taking care of people. Isn't that beautiful? Absolutely beautiful. And then we have com.cash. I don't know how successful it is, but it's definitely out there circulating. They have, it's a digital twin of a cryptocurrency. So there is a cryptocurrency, it's backed by Ethereum, and you buy Comcash, and then it's time locked for about a year, and then at the end of that year, you get your Ethereum out of it. And if you do the next page, you'll see they have a little scan up here. There's a radio or antenna in it, and they've got a chip, and it's an NFC, so you can actually scan it, and you can check, what's the cryptocurrency equivalent, and how much is it worth, and how much Ethereum is backed by. Pretty neat. There's tons of things we can do. But the one example that we've got stolen the most ideas from is the Chiemgauer, and it's been around for a long time, 2003. It's very similar to the original one that Antoine was talking about. You put a sticker on it, and you can circulate it for 2 years before you put it, fill up all the sticker slots, and then you have to hang it in. They pay a 3% charity component. Every transaction adds 3% to charity, but it's hard for them to administer because it's not on watching. You see where I'm going with this?
Where are you going?
So this is where you can actually stick the stickers on it, and then there's room for more stickers. Our demerge principles on the blockchain basis is we don't have to actually buy the stamps. We can make that a lot simpler. We can just set it and forget it as a principle. We may want to set it at 1% per month to start out with, but that's a parameter that can be experimented with without a DAO. They can experiment with the percentages, they can change. There's no requirement to buy stamps. No need to sell it before the end of the month because it will lose its value automatically every second. Simple percentage every month, apply per second, and primarily finances the also value in the hedges against the increase of value in the TTC coin. So the interesting thing about TTC coin, you cannot earn interest on it, and it's on the contrary, it's like a negative interest rate, the demerge. So you'll lose a fraction if you hold on to it, but if you spend it, it's worth whatever it was worth when you bought it, and the demerge is automatically pulled off of it. I mentioned TTC, so it's soft pegged to the value of TTC tokens. It's one of the most stable things that we have in Toronto. It's way more stable in price than anything else that I can think of that is quantifiably, measurably stable. So take a look at the next page, you'll see. In 2012, the first ETC was issued at 2 cents. And then when they formalized it and called it TEC, it was called something else before that, but in 1928, it was 7 cents. I've been telling people it was 6, but I'm wrong, it's 7. 7 cents, the first time the TTC ticket was sold. In 1954, it was 15 cents. And that's why they introduced the original token, the TTC token. It was a silver one. That lasted for a long time, but then in the early 90s, they started noticing that people forged it. And by 2006, they introduced the next one, the bi-metal token. Looks like this. Small little TTC token. I don't know if you guys remember. It's worth $3.30 today. You can still spend it on the street card. And they've since taken it out of circulation. You can't buy them anymore. You definitely spend them. So if you have them in your drawers back home, bring them in. I'll take them. I'll buy them from you, and we'll use that as a back for our Toronto. The interesting thing is when the price goes up, the T-point price will go up as well. So we're soft pegging the value to the TTC token. I don't know when they're going to increase it to 340 or 350, but when they do, the T-point will also increase. So we're thinking that there's going to be an massive surge of people buying the token the day before it increases, because TTC usually announces it ahead of time. So that's a built-in little marketing feature right there. Yeah, that's the basis of our T-point. I want to say a couple of words of what it's not. If you're a crypto fan, if you're a crypto boy, want to go to the moon and all that, this is not it, and you would have realized that by now. It is not a stable coin. We won't have a DEX, there won't be a DMM, we won't have your liquidity on chain. All these things that crypto people are so used to, but are actually wrong for money. They're good for investments, but they're not good for money. We won't have a pre-mint. It's going to be a flexible cap. So the more spend comes in, the more people want to buy it, the more we will increase the cap. The cap will always be below what we have to charge in the back. No team allocation. All work that's done is on a volunteer basis to date, and it will remain so for a long time. There will be, so there's a 3% that goes to charity, but there's a 5% minting fee. So the difference, 1 or 2%, if we set the minting fee to 4 or 5%, I don't know, that's going to go to pay for the salary of whoever's working with the team. That's going to be a super small team. Choreography is back, no listed, no cap max by, no to the moon, and it's not decentralized. There will be a centralized team.
So is it utility token?
It has utility. I will say that. Depends on who defines what utility means. It's a currency. It's not the traditional utility token, because that's used for voting and such. It's definitely not a security, but it is money. Right? No other cryptocurrency that I know of can say that they fit into a third category. All of the other ones are either, utility or security. We're a third. We're a currency. And Calgary dollars, for example, have the blessing of the CRA as being a bartering currency. That's what this is, it's a bartering currency. I'm going to introduce the next speaker, because I need a drink. Kirill has been coding this for us. He's a hacker.
Let's go, Kirill!
Hello everyone. I'm going to talk more about the functionality and of our application. So the first important part is you will be able to meet, buy, and mines their Bitcoins, and the rate of one Bitcoin is going to be equal to the price of one ETC ticket. Also, you have a base functionality and negotiate parts, and it means that each token holder will use 1% of their token each month, and it's incentivized to local spending. And also, we will have a base function. Everyone will be able to call it once a month, and when you call it, balance of each token holder is going to be updated. So the focus content part is beginning functionality. So you will be able to begin your T-coin for ETC coins or Canadian dollars, and if you choose to redeem it yourself, you are going to get less money than if you redeem in one of our partner stores. You are going to get more value, and it incentivizes the local spending. Also, the last important part is charity and stewards component. So 3% of each redeem transactions will go to charity, and user can select the charity by himself, or you have a default charity, and also each charity will be able to nominate stewards, and stewards will be able to vote on peg value, and peg value is actually the current price of ETC ticket. So when the ETC ticket price is updated, they can vote on new value and update our peg value for ETC ticket. And also regarding our workflow, so you will be able to buy a coin and get it to your Ethereum wallet. After that, you are going to redeem the coin for Canadian dollars or ETC coins, and 3% of redemptions goes to charity. And also I want to talk about our current state application. So now we are writing smart contracts, and we are doing testing on the testnet, and when all testing and updates implemented, we are planning to upload it to the mainnet. And I'm going to pass to Kaz now.
So I think the main thing to think about from that is that users will be able to direct the money themselves to whatever charity they want. They will be registering and signing up, and at that point they'll pick one charity that they like, and then every future transaction they make, the 3% is going to go to that one charity. So we don't decide the charities, you do. You do. You do, right? You decide where the charity money should go. So that's a pretty interesting little concept. We are creating this Bitcoin as Toronto DAO, but also in partnership with GreenPill.TO. GreenPill Network started out as a podcast talking about crypto for good, turning regions into regions. And it's one of the best podcasts that there is if you're ever interested in how can you use crypto and blockchain and Web3 for good. That's what we want to listen to. I want to ask you guys, if you have a wallet today to go donate at least $1 to the GreenPill Network at Gitcoin. So Gitcoin is one of the biggest places where you can raise money for Web3, and we're in the Gitcoin round. The current round is number 21. It ends in like 3-4 days, so you don't have to do it today, but please do, if you have a chance, go and donate on Bitcoin. Find GreenPill.TO, GreenPill.TO. Here's the QR code for doing that. If you have a wallet, if you have Cello in your wallet. If you don't have any Cello, come and see me. So every $1 that's being donated will be matched with $11 from Bitcoin. So it's a very powerful way of giving right now. Every $1 will get 12. So So I'll get that QR code back up at the end of the presentation as well. That's what you want to move on. So what you do is you connect your wallet and then you add, you pay at least 3 sell. If you pay 3 sell, that equals $1.30, and then that's how much we will get in matching dollars. You'll see it right on screen. You add it to your card, you connect your wallet, and then you check out, just like a Shopify site. The other thing that we can do is you can pledge, if you're interested in what we talked about today, if you're interested in staying connected or buying T-Coin when we launch it, when we issue it, feel free to go onto this QR code, which is GreenPill.TO, and make a pledge. I pledge some dollar amount, $99 will get you, how many? 30 T-Coin. So you don't have to give a lot, you can give 33 or 66, you can give any amount that you will, and you'll get a fractional value of T-Coin. And then just put that on Twitter, and we'll get back to you when we're out there. That's a simple way of helping us push this project and make people aware of it. And yeah, that's it, I think. Let's do the next one. It's just QR codes.
All right, let's give it up to Noak. Let's give it up to Antoine and to Kirill.